Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee was founded in 2014 by Ed and Courtney Lemmix alongside their son, Brett. The delicious DeLuna blends are a product of Ed's discerning palate for the finest coffee beans on the planet, and Brett's business acumen has them on the national radar for quality. Savor the simplicity of Graffiti Bridge. 100% Colombian beans roasted to a city roast for optimal flavor. Ed and Brett are both FSU alums and are extending a special offer to our listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit thelunacoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant. It is fueled by DeLuna Coffee. DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 amid your exploration of DeLunaCoffee.com for a 15% discount on all the fantastic items, coffee, tumblers, treats, whatever you want. DeLunaCoffee.com. Shout out to our guys again. Ed, Brett, Courtney, the Lemmix family, proud Florida State Seminole alums. Florida State boosters, doing the coffee thing. Do your thing. Get coffee in your life. Make sure it's DeLuna Coffee. WarChant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. If you're listening to us on YouTube. All right, man. I get it. Cool. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. 7:15 Trench Talk with Devontae Love Taylor and myself. We'll be going down, Corey, because it's a bye week, so they had to change up some things. Meetings going down in the evening. We usually do it 6 o'clock, but we'll still have Trench Talk at 7:15, and we got this show going on right now, and that's all that matters, right here, right now, this moment. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. How are you doing? You doing all right?
Yeah, man. We just won. What, just the biggest upset in modern Florida State history, at least football-wise, 35-25 over North Carolina, who came into the game on some sports books as high as 18.5, but I think went off at 17.5. Look at us. Look at us.
I mean, that's I tried for the better part of Sunday to figure that out. The internet let me down. I could not find point spreads from the 60s or 70s or early 80s for that matter. It does help when you cover a program like Florida State. Ain't like there were a lot of times in the 80s that, like, I just skipped a decade, 2 decades really. I'm like, man, they weren't a double-digit underdog at any point in like 15 years. So I didn't have to worry about that. But yes, as far as I can tell, it's at least the biggest upset win for Florida State history since the 70s, point spread-wise. The closest one before that was Virginia Tech 2005 ACC championship game. They were 14-point underdogs in that one, which seems crazy in hindsight.
They were terrible that year. They were
that wasn't even the good Vic brother. Yeah. And it was a home game. So that helped, and then North Carolina last year was 13.5. So those are the only 2 times I could find in the last 40 years that Florida State is a double-digit underdog. Granted, not a lot of opportunities there. Won a game as a double-digit underdog. Those 3.
Yeah, if everyone's wondering about BYU back in 2009, that was 8.5 points.
8.5, and then Boston College in 2007.
Yeah, 7.
The Matty Ice game, that was only 7 points.
That's absurd. They're number 2 in the nation.
Didn't believe in Matty Ice in the Eagles with good reason. Geno Hayes put out that Heisman campaign.
Yeah. When I went back and looked at it, do you know the 2018 against Miami? They were a 14-point underdog in that game. Like, what was that? Who was that Miami team?
I think it was just how bad Florida State had looked, and then going on the road. But yeah, and then they covered the spread at least.
Oh no, that's still to this day. I mean, I think that was the best game they played under Taggart. Was unfortunately that. I mean, it wasn't one that went in their favor, but
yeah,
like you walked out of there, you're like, all right, man, they got something cooking. So, what did you think walking out of Chapel Hill Saturday? You were up there, only 5, a lucky 5, an elite 5. Were able to go cover it for the visiting media. You were there for us on behalf of WarChant.com. You know, I think we all picked it to be within the spread, not patting ourselves on the back. None of us thought Florida State was going to win, but we did think it wasn't going to maybe get as ugly as a 17-point spread sort of indicated. But again, how did you feel walking out of there, man? What a just a delightful game, Corey. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I know I just asked you a question. I'll answer. That was the best 60 minutes they've played with this staff by far, easily.
Yeah, and you start. Oh, absolutely, and you start. Definitely the best 45 minutes. I mean, if you want to throw the first quarter away because they were down 10-0, but the offense had the ball for like 6 plays in the first quarter. It was nuts. But after they got down 10-0 to a decent team, a bowl team, they went on a 35-7 run. I mean, that's crazy. So when you look at, let's say, the fourth quarter of the Notre Dame game, and then these last 2.5 games. Starting with at halftime of the Louisville game, you see some things there. You see some building blocks, and you see, quite frankly, the last 2.5 games, they've been a good team, decent team, bowl team. You know, they've been a team. The way they played these last 2.5 weeks. I mean, Syracuse gave Wake Forest all they wanted, my man. Took them to overtime.
They did.
And then North Carolina doesn't lose at home. They certainly don't lose to 17-point underdogs at home. So those 2 games back-to-back are good wins. Those are nice wins. Then that second half of the Louisville game. Again, Louisville lost to who'd they lose to? Virginia. They blew a big lead against Virginia in the fourth quarter. But that Louisville team scores on everyone. They put up mid-30s on everyone, and you shut them out in the second half. You held UNC. I know they got a lot of yards, but Howell's legs is what killed you. I mean, that was crazy. He's looking like John Elway out there scrambling. I thought the defense played overall about as well as you could hope when you're down what they're down in the secondary, and they didn't have Jarrett Jackson at defensive tackle after losing Briggs for the season, so they're really thin. They were really thin at safety, and they were really thin in the middle of the interior. And I thought for what they have, they played as well as you could hope. And that fourth down stop was a big one. How about my man Jarian Jones going up and winning a 50-50 ball? As I've joked, those are more like 90-10 balls when it comes to Florida State. Not on his watch. That was a really big time play, man. That just got me all goosed up, man. I'm like, what is that? He ripped it from him, curled up, caught it in the end zone. Usually Florida State's luck, you come down, his knee would hit at the half-yard line, but he caught it in the end zone. You get the ball at the 20, you go down and score. I mean, that was overall that's the best 4 quarters, but certainly the best 3 quarters they've played since this coaching staff got here. And you're starting to look, okay, again, there's some big mountains to climb at the end of this season. But when you think about what this team looked like in the second half of that Jacksonville State game, and really all of the Wake Forest game, to where they are now, you can see where you could start to believe, man, okay, these guys have this. Maybe it's not, as I wrote, it's not in the hydroplane anymore. It's come to a stop. The sliding car has come to a stop, and you found some traction. They should, unless something horrible happens, and I will call for everyone to be fired if it does. If they beat UMass, that's a 3-game winning streak after starting out the season 0-4. Okay, again, we know what this season is not going to be, and it's not going to probably be a bowl season. But you get a little bit of hope, right, with what you saw on Saturday. Maybe a lot of hope. I think, personally, if the quarterback stays healthy, you should have a lot of hope that next year you could be a top 25 team. The problem is I don't know that the quarterback can stay healthy, but I'm past the point of being told what Jordan Travis can't do. My man averages 36 points when he's the quarterback. Put 35 on the board. Third time since 2014, Florida State scored 35 on the road in a conference game. I know he's not Drew Brees. I know he's not Johnny Unitas throwing the football. The dude moves the ball, hits big plays, scores points. So, if he could stay healthy, I like what you have with him, Corbin, and Ward. That's a nice trio in the backfield, isn't it? Something to get excited about, huh?
He's Russell Wilson. He was Russell Wilson back there. He made really nice throws. I mean, the throw to Malik McClain, that touchdown, that was a really great catch, but that was a really great throw to put it that spot for him. The Keyshawn.
Same thing with Helton, right?
Yeah, that was a great catch by Helton, but that was a great throw. Yeah, man.
Yeah, rolling to his left on 3rd and 12, throwing a dart like that, where only his guy can catch it. I feel like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that ball sails into the stands. I mean, he squared it up and made some really nice throws. And yeah, man, I'm that game was so far out of what I was expecting.
Absolutely.
That it kind of changed. You start looking at the rest of the schedule. Look, I know I'm rambling, but with 4 minutes to go in the Syracuse game, I was convinced, and I think most of us were convinced, they were going to be 0-6 going into the break. 0-6. And their only chance to avoid a winless season was UMass. Well, now they're 2-4 with a win over a 18-point favorite, and they've kicked a game-winning field goal to win. They beat a team kind of convincingly the last three quarters. Like I said, a 35-7 run. Now they got a week off, and then UMass. You start to feel pretty darn good about how this season has seemingly turned. There's going to be some losses in the future. They're not winning out, but man, they competed. They got down 10-0. They didn't quit. The kid made plays at quarterback. They believe in that guy, and that's a great road win. That's just a fantastic road win for them, and gives you a little hope moving forward.
Talk about next year, top 25 team. We got some games left this season. Come on, guy. Let's talk about sneaking into a bowl game, maybe. Some people talking about bowl games. I mean, 6 gets you in there for sure, but 5, you might be able to, use this iconic brand to leverage yourself into a bowl game. 5, because UMass is FBS. You're not going to get dinged for that. That's
right.
3, and then just hold serve at home. NC
well,
State,
that's easier said than done.
Miami.
But again, 2 weeks ago, nobody listening to this thought they had any chance against NC State, against Miami, against Boston College. Now you do.
But
I'm not saying you're going to win all those.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying you're not. I'm not saying you're going to win all those. But now you feel like you have a chance. You have a week to get healthy, 2 weeks really to get healthy for NC. I think that's what NC State, Miami, Clemson, 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
You go. I mean, you're not going to go 3-0. You have a chance to go 2-1. I would have never thought that. I would have never thought that 2 or 3 weeks ago. But the way the defense has at least not been awful, and then the way Carolina's going to put up yards on everyone. That's what they do.
Great. I have no qualms with the defense, man. Even in the first quarter, the 10s early they fell into. Man, DJ Lundy's got to reroute that receiver. That's a tough ask for him in the slot. And then Jarquez McClellan's got to run with that kid. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
No
and
way,
a very nice throw.
Yeah.
A throw in the back of the end zone by a first-round caliber quarterback. And he made some plays. He made another throw, I think, later in the game, just on the run, really a dart to like the 5-yard line. He's going to make some throws. And he scrambled for 5 of their first downs. On third downs, he scrambled for 5 of their first downs. I thought you did a pretty darn good job in the passing game, all things considered. And, defending the pass. Yeah. I thought he was better with his legs than his arm. But, yeah, man, I thought the defense these last 2.5 games has been what I was talking about, right? Just be competent. Just be average, which I think you'd say that, right?
Absolutely.
The last 2.5 games, they've been average to maybe a little above average, depending on your expectations. But, if they can do that, and then, again, like I've talked about all year, I wanted to see things from this offense different. I wanted to have a reason to believe. This offense the last 2 weeks, I know it's not always pretty. This offense has given me reason to believe. And that was a really nice game by those wide receivers, too.
NC State's got Boston College this weekend, and then they've got Miami, and then they got Louisville, then they got to come to Tallahassee. By no means murderer's row there, but that's, at least in this down season of a ACC slate, like they're going to be coming in, having played probably some pretty tough games against Boston College, Miami, and Louisville. So it's not like they're going to be able to rest up and bring all they have. And listen, man, like we don't even know what Clemson really is. So is NC State really all that special? They didn't look all that good against Louisiana Tech the next week. So I that game went from definite L to like coin flip. Like it's back to what it was. Well, I think in the beginning of the season I was like, nah, it was a coin flip. So it's back to a coin flip. I'll take that. Every game's a coin flip, I think now, other than Florida. Still think
Florida. I throw Clemson in that class just because of what they are on the defensive line, what they are on defense.
And it's going to be a different away game. That NC, what was going on there? Man?
Yeah, that's not quite a Death Valley in Chapel Hill. I'm not sure most of the students knew there was a game being played.
I didn't know it was because ESPN's commentators were actually in Bristol doing the game. Because I'm like, maybe they're trying to find a way to mix the audio correctly so they don't overpower their announcers in Bristol. They want to try to make it sound like they're there. But it was what an absolutely uninspired, borderline depressing crowd it sounded like. And listen, they have a lot to cheer for. But that didn't sound like a major Division I. That didn't sound like a Power 5 conference game. Saying that place was just dull. But hey,
yeah, it was. I don't know if maybe that first game or the Georgia Tech game took the life out of the the crowd. But yeah, it wasn't much. It got loud. It got loud in the first quarter on a couple of those plays. It tried to get loud in the second half as much as it could when they were trying to get stops, but they couldn't get stops. And Florida State. We talked about what they've done well these last 2 weeks is the situational stuff we were talking about earlier. The things that lose games, and they still had some of those against Syracuse, like the missed block and a fumbled punt, but they were pretty good on third down. Against Syracuse defensively. They were really good defensively against Syracuse on third down. They were pretty good against North Carolina. He got most of those conversions with you made them earn it. You know what I mean? You made them earn their points for the most part. He had a 31-yard scramble that I felt like that at some point you can't let this keep happening to you. It seemed pretty obvious when they hit 5 wide that he was probably going to tuck it on 3rd and 3. But other than that, I thought you didn't let guys just run completely free. And on offense, you were 7 of 10 on third down. And 2 of the ones you didn't get, you missed by a yard. You could have probably, in a different circumstances, gone for it there. So I just thought that what they're doing now is they're playing situationally better. And on offense, they're not putting themselves in huge holes. They're not losing 8 yards on a run or on a sack or starting every series 1st and 15, 1st and 20. Because this team can pick up 2nd and 8. This kid can get you first downs when it's 2nd and 8. He picked up a 3rd and 12. It's a great throw. You just don't want to do that a lot. When you're in front of the chains with these 2 running backs and with this guy at quarterback, you are tough to defend. And the way he ran, what did you think of the way he ran the zone read? It was almost like they watched Wake Forest film.
They had no idea what to do. I can't remember seeing a opposing defense so crossed up, other than, I don't want to besmirch us, but like when Mickey was trying to figure out how to stop it, with like Tebow. And at least they had like NFL first-round picks everywhere. They put a lot of stress on you. But they had no idea what to do. They were so crossed up on it, which I don't want to give tips to the opposition, but like, why don't you just hit Jordan Travis anytime you can? Like when they do read option, all right, let him hand off to Jay Sean Corbin. We're still going to hit him. Like
right,
they would hit Corbin, and then Travis is like gone. It's like, why would you do that? Like, take your licks on this. But anyhow, no, they ran it. It was uncanny the way they ran it, and that's what has you feeling optimistic about this offense. I know more than anything, seeing him throw the ball well is obviously a great thing. But obviously, we know what his bread and butter is. What makes Jordan Travis special is his elusiveness, his speed, which again, to me, just I don't know. He keeps running by all these teams, so I have to just give him the credit that he deserves for doing this time and time again. But if they can run it that way, where they're going to confuse these teams, they're going to be in football games from here on out because they're going to score points because it's tough to defend that. I do wonder, though, I don't know who else is helping out Corey Durden in the interior of that NC State defensive line, but when they do play in Miami or Clemson, to your point, Clemson, Florida, like teams that have really nasty front fours. Actually, I don't really even know how the front four for Florida is this year. But I think those teams might, like Miami, Clemson, speed, aggressiveness, physicality on the front four is going to make things a little bit more dicey. But, man, this conference isn't flush with a lot of great defensive talent, so he should do well against NC State. He's going to eat UMass alive. We saw what he did to North Carolina. So, yeah, the way they ran the zone read was uncanny, man. That's the way you want to do it.
Yeah, and I think you're blessed. You don't have a ton of talent on the offense yet, but you're blessed with 3 pretty talented guys with the ball in their hands in that backfield. That Ward, the run that Ward made at the end, I mean, come on, man. That guy, I don't know who the guard was that got beat, but he got beat in record time. And Ward bounces off it. This is a pretty big play. I mean, they still have an 11-point lead, but you never know in college football. We saw that against Jacksonville State. For him to make that guy miss and then bounce off 3 guys and bull his way for like a 9-10 yard run in that spot, that is a winning football play. And, Jordan Travis said it after the game, you can build so much confidence with these wins. Football, it is such a game. Well, life is a game of confidence, right? You date a couple attractive members of the opposite sex. The next time you ask one out, you feel a little more confident about it. You're like, yeah, I can do this. Look at Aslan. Aslan's rolling through him.
Or the same sex, Corey. It's 2021. Whatever.
True.
floats your boat.
I don't know why I said the opposite
Yeah.
sex. Just somebody you're interested. I wanted to make it not just about
Right.
a man asking a woman out. You know what I mean?
I know.
But yeah, just in life to have confidence is a huge deal. And I thought that Syracuse game gave them some confidence. They could make plays when it mattered in close situations to go win a game. Mainly because their quarterback can run around and make some plays with his legs. But he did, and then you made that kick. And then it just seemed like, Helton making that catch, McClain making that catch, Lovett making some big plays in the backfield, man. Jamie Robinson everywhere.
Yeah, big game for him.
That kid's everywhere. The Jarian Jones pick, the Ward play. Those are the play. Pokey having a nice game after what happened the week before. Those are big time. Those matter. That confidence can really matter moving forward. It's a big deal to play with confidence. I don't think they were playing with a ton, and now they should be playing with a lot. They should feel good about themselves. That was a total team win, where again they went on a 35-7 run on the road after getting down 10-0.
If you guys were paying attention to the show back in late September, Corey, when we did our first year with Kraken, the Kraken app helping you trade crypto, Bitcoin went down. Then it went down to $40,000 about. A little shade over $40,000. Bitcoin right now worth over 54,000 American dollars. You could have got in on this, everybody, even with this little bit $10 on the Kraken app. Go and see why Kraken has been rated one of the best places to buy crypto for the last 10 years. Go to kraken.com/warchant, Kraken, or search for Kraken in the App Store. You'll be able to buy and sell over 50 of the most popular cryptos like Bitcoin, Doge, Ethereum, Ripple, all from the palm of your hand. It's super easy to start. Just download that app, create an account, and you can invest in minutes. And you can get your feet wet with just a few dollars in the game. Check them out, kraken.com/warchant.
The clutch shot, the biggest hit. It's time for the Zaxby's indescribably good
Player of the week.
Let's go. It's time. Corey, I'll defer to you. You begin with us. You start us off. Zaxby's indescribably good player of the week is?
I'm not going Jordan Travis just because I don't want to pick the same person every week, but he would be my guy. I'm going with Keyshawn Helton. Okay. He had that 44-yard catch. He didn't score a touchdown, but he had that 44-yard catch. And then he had another third down catch that was not an incredible throw on a crossing route. It was like a 3rd and 7, but he made a nice catch behind him. And then it was behind him and hard, and he made a nice catch to get the first down. And then that's one of the catches of the year, I think, the one on the sideline on 3rd and 12. It's just those aren't the plays that Florida State has been making for a long time. When it's 3rd and 12, I even joked with someone, because that's what I'm known to do. I'm like, why don't they just go ahead and pooch punt it? And my man rolls out to his left and throws a dart. Keyshawn Helton, who's not very big, goes up and gets it and gets his tippy toes down for a first down. Those just aren't the plays they've been making, and those are winning football plays. Those are the plays that have been made against them. So that was really good to see. That was indescribably good to see.
I got to give a shout out to Jarian Jones. I liked his post-game news conference, basically saying, I don't need anybody's validation. I know who I am. I'm a dog. He didn't say that. I put those words in his mouth. I had him, I think, number 6 in our preseason top 40. I just thought if there's going to be one guy that was going to cover dudes, it had to be him. It took him 6 weeks to show up, but he finally did. He was targeted 5 times. They only caught 2 passes on him for all of 14 yards. That interception was huge. It was that is the kind of stuff that you grew up more so than I did watching Florida State's defensive backs do. Just make plays, challenge me, I dare you, and I'll make you pay for it. Jones graded out at 77.7, the highest of all starters. Amari was higher than him. Amari, played 4 less snaps, even though he didn't, quote-unquote start. Jarvis Brownlee's an Iron Man, by the way. 71 snaps for him. I guess that's almost all of them. No, Jamie played 74. These guys are crazy. Anyhow, Jarian Jones, welcome to the 2021 season. Glad you could finally show up. That's my pick. Keyshawn Helton, Corey's pick for the Zaxby's indescribably good player of the week. All right, Corey, that was solid. It was like 20 minutes, good vibes, good feelings. Was that fourth quarter by North Carolina maybe the worst coached quarter of football you've seen this season? Or is something from, I mean,
Well, no, I
Jacksonville
would
State
say
bothers
no.
you,
I was going to say the fourth quarter by Florida State against Jacksonville State still takes that, but it was inexplicable.
What were they doing?
I just don't understand. It was almost as if they were just playing out the string. Like, let's get a meaningless touchdown. No big deal. We can't win this game. It's like, man, have you seen this defense? And have you seen this team? Like, put some pressure on it and see if it responds. And I thought the defense did a good job, though, of making them – they didn't give them a bunch of home run plays. Nope. They had to get a lot of 7- and 8-yard completions, but there was no urgency. Like, if Carolina, if they would have snapped it with 31 on the clock instead of 12 every time, I mean, you're looking at, like, when they scored that touchdown to cut it to 10, they cut it to 10 with under 3 minutes left. It could have been 6 minutes left. And 6 minutes left with 3 timeouts is an eternity in college football. You might get the ball 3 more times, especially if you know the team you're playing is going to want to run it the whole time to run clock. So, yeah, it was very, very bizarre. I didn't watch Mac Brown's press conference to see if he was asked or what he said about it, but I know there aren't a ton of North Carolina, like, diehard football fans. But if there were, I don't even know how you explain that to them.
Yeah,
how you're not just livid about that.
You're down 3 scores, like you don't take the field goal. You're like, I'll go for it. I mean, I know they're on the 3-yard line, but it's like, hey man, take the points. You need 3 scores, so just get one of them out of the way and make it easy on yourself.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That didn't make sense either. It wasn't like it was 4th and goal at the 1.
No,
I mean, I thought they were like the 4 or the 5.
So.
And that wasn't a great play they came up with. They dialed up. So if you're going to dial up him sprinting to his left and hoping you beat him again on a scramble for the 7th time, I feel like you take the points and it's at least a 2-score game, and it feels like some real pressure on that Florida State offense. But they didn't put any on that Florida State offense. And I'm also not sure it would have mattered because they couldn't stop Jordan Travis and those guys. They just couldn't.
And that's the thing I guess we were talking about a little bit earlier, just about the way they were running the zone read. And, it goes to your point of, you championing Travis or Jordan for such a long time on the show, fairly, obviously, and correctly here, with hindsight now is our sort of, luxury that we're able to use now as we're, week 6 or 7 of the season now. I just can't believe they were so tied up and confused by it. Like, can we expect that moving forward, Corey? Like, that's why I don't know if I need to, again, like, start looking at personnel of North Carolina versus other teams. Because you would think, all right, we have this guy. I know he's beat up sometimes. He's hurt. We don't know what happened this week or last week, that some sort of switch flip inside of Jordan Travis to where either he's learned to embrace playing hurt or they've got a good way of rehabbing him between games. Because you'd think if you have him and he's upright and he can run, you're going to make this the focal point, the identity, if you will, of your offense is just running with him and switching up with read option stuff, RPO, zone read. I know they're different concepts, but you can use all of it together with him. And like we never saw them fully embrace that sort of. And I don't know what happened to where they're like, all right, well, it makes sense. Because you think it would have made sense to do this, I don't know, 4 weeks ago. I guess where are we at to where this is now? It's because it seems like this is the obvious thing to have done now. And I know that's hindsight. Like I'm the guy that was like, start Mackenzie Milton, play Mackenzie Milton. I just never thought he was going to be durable enough to last. And then I just thought the teams at some point figure this stuff out. Like they figure out the mesh point at some point midway through the 3rd quarter, and you can't keep doing that. They know what's coming. At no point did North Carolina know it's coming. So I guess, obviously credit goes to Kenny for keeping them off balance, but I wonder how much of it just North Carolina either not being coached well or not having, I don't know, just good enough players to match up with Florida State. I mean, are we at that point now?
Well, I don't know about that, but I will say, yeah, they didn't have, there aren't many that have 3 guys, like I said, 3 guys in the backfield like Corbin, Ward, and Travis. But what I would say is, nobody seems to have really figured out Wake. And they do that. They do that too. Like they hold the zone read, that mesh point for 9 seconds, and nobody seems to, and they score over 30 against everyone. So it is something that can work if you do it well. Again, there's no need to really litigate the first half of the season. The biggest mistake I thought the coaches made was the Jacksonville State game. If they play Jordan Travis in that game, they win that game. They just do. There's no way you could argue it. But they thought Milton maybe gives them something that Travis didn't. Travis was healthy enough to be at running back in some of those games. So Yes, if they play, but look, he got hurt against Wake. They were going to play him a lot against Wake, clearly, and he took an unnecessary hit that he didn't have to take, and he knocked himself out, and then he couldn't play against Louisville. So he didn't leave him with a lot of choices in the second half against Wake and all of the Louisville game. But the Jacksonville State game, they had him, and they didn't use him, and that was to their detriment, clearly. But yeah, I think this can be what you do, man. I don't think they're going to want to be 1985 Oklahoma Wishbone, where they're going to throw 2 passes a game to the tight end and that's it. Or Paul Johnson. I don't think 13 pass attempts is where they want to live. You also have to remember they only had the ball for 54 plays, and 2 of those were a kneel down. One of those was a kneel down. So they weren't, and then I bet what do you think they dropped back to pass? Like 17 times, maybe 18 times, and he scrambled on 5 of them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how many pass plays they called, but probably a third of them were pass plays. I think that's where you want to live with this group, with this team you have right now. This
16. I mean, that's what Pro Football Focus has them as
16 dropbacks.
Yeah.
Out of like 53 plays, 52 plays. And they're also running some clock there at the end. So when they were running their offense, trying to actually go score points and not milk clock, it was probably 16 out of 50, 48, 33% of the time they were throwing the ball or called passing plays. That's about where you want to live. This kid is good enough, as you saw on Saturday, to hit guys in certain positions when they're open. He just is. You don't want to get in a lot of 3rd and 12s. He can throw it well enough because he runs so exceptionally well. So I think this is what you want to. This is where you want to live. And quite frankly, I would, unless it's just to like wish him farewell and bid him adieu and say thanks for trying. I don't think Milton needs to see the field again. I think if Travis gets banged up again, you go to the guy that is closest to Jordan Travis on the football team in athletic ability at that position, and that's Chubba Purdy. And this is what your offense is for the foreseeable future. Agree?
No, I still think you try to win games. You put who gives you the best shot back there. These guys are at practice. I don't know, man. I would think if you did a straw, I don't know, straw poll's the wrong word, but like if you did, anonymous blind voting, like I think most of the guys would be like, yeah, it'd be like, I don't know, 6-4 McKenzie over Chubba, 7-3. I don't think it'd be like 10. If you pulled 10 guys from the Unity Council, who should we start, McKenzie or Chubba? I don't think they'll all be like, it's not gonna be like Rudy. They're not all gonna put their jerseys in like, start McKenzie. But yeah, I don't think you can.
You know what's weird though?
Start gearing that forward ahead.
I mean, I would say, look, but Milton. I think Jordan Travis has 214 snaps this year at quarterback. Milton has 201. I mean, he's gotten almost as much playing time as Jordan Travis, with the results not even close. But my point being, I think the things that Chubba can do, much like Jordan Travis, are things that can't show up Sunday to Friday. Like I just like I don't know that you can.
Yeah, but Jordan's throwing, man. Jordan did really well in the passing game, like, and he knows where things have to go. Chubba doesn't. I mean, hey man, I'm not trying to push him out the door. Like, I hope he sticks around. I hope he gets it figured out. But man, there's too many times. And hey man, they got a bye week. He can make a nice little growth spurt here. But there's just too many times at practice where man, it's a wasted play. It's a wasted rep. I mean, guys are running routes, so I shouldn't say that. But in terms of him figuring out where it's got to go, it's nothing happens. I mean, the ball doesn't get thrown and the whistle's blown. It's like, what do we just do here? Like,
but you think about some of those plays that Travis had on Saturday. Like, there's a couple screen passes to McDonald. That's a design play. That's not like scan the field.
Yeah.
There's the throw to Keyshawn where he's wide open. That's a design play to get him open. I think what you don't know about Chubba, just like you don't know about Jordan in practice, is how does he run the zone read? Like, really run the zone read where he's actually could get smashed by the defensive end? How does he make a guy miss that's actually trying to tackle him? Because I don't know. I just don't foresee. I mean, we know it. We've seen it. Corbin and Ward aren't going to have the same impact on games if there isn't a real threat at quarterback on the read. Like, there is absolutely no reason for a defensive end to not crash down when Milton's in there. And if that's become such a big part of, so if Milton doesn't play, what do you go back to just, throwing it 35 times? Because that's not the strength of this team. I just think Chubba's more like a reasonable facsimile than Jordan. But yes, the real deal here is Travis needs to figure out a way to stay healthy. If he can do that, look, man, I'm going to keep saying it. He's played 8 games where he's played the majority of the snaps. They are 5-3 in those games and have averaged 36 points a game. Look around the country. That's not happening in a lot of other places. And look at Florida State. Like, we can't just, and I'm not saying you're doing this, we can't just ignore 33 points against Syracuse, even though maybe it wasn't as pretty as we wanted, and 35 points on the road, and 38 against Notre Dame. Like, this isn't just luck. It's not blind luck that they keep scoring points with him at quarterback. It doesn't always look great. He is going to miss some throws. There's going to look sloppy at times and have multiple 3-and-outs. He's going to make mistakes and bad throws. But just going by the stats, the samples, he's also going to score you about 30 to 35 points every time. That's pretty good if you can keep him healthy. But again, that's a huge if. I get it. I don't know what the point now. You can say you want to win games, and that's why you go with Milton, but he hasn't won you any games. So, it's not like he's proven that he can do anything in this offense. God love him. It's a great story. I just think if you have somebody back there that they have to account for, the defense has to account for with their legs, that clearly changes everything. And they coach it up well. And they block it well too, man. Good job with the O-line, I thought, for the most part. There's some misses, but didn't you think they played pretty well?
Here's the thing. I feel like you're balancing out your praise by obviously putting the light on really great performances by Jordan, the running backs, and then trying to kind of qualify and pump brakes and keep all of us grounded, which we need to be a little bit grounded, everybody. I mean, we do. I mean, again, it was weird to come on shows after we lost and people are like, be upset. It's like, man, we can't do this every week. I don't want to come here and just be like, all right, like we're totally wrong. Let's go. 6 wins, Pinstripe Bowl. Like, what do we expect? Like, the defense played great. Like, that's Sam Howell. It's a first-round pick. That Josh, what's his last name? Downs? Well, I don't know. Whatever that wide receiver kid, that kid's phenomenal. He's explosive. He is dynamic. He's a scary dude. That was in Chapel Hill. You're an 18-point underdog. You held them to 25 points. It's 2021. That is a huge win. The defense played great, I thought. Offensive line, I don't know, what does everybody else want? Like, listen, Bryce Young got the crap kicked out of him in College Station on Saturday night. Alabama's the gold standard offensive lines. Guys have bad games, and I'm not trying to compare this to Alabama. They've got a lot of equity built up. They can have a bad weekend, and everybody can live with it. I don't understand like what people were ever expecting or hope this offensive line to turn into. Now, listen, they got some guys in the pipe that are coming down, some guys in the queue here in the recruiting class, which this was a really good win. I think I saw either you or Ira retweeted an Instagram live, I guess, in the locker room. That was a call between, I think, maybe Brownlee and Travis Hunter. No, Travis Hunter's happy.
Yeah,
so
Brownlee and Travis Hunter.
Yeah, they got guys coming in here. So, I mean, the offensive line, especially with Devontae Love-Taylor going down. And Dan Orlovsky, come on, man, do your research, buddy. Like, when Devontae Love-Taylor's walking off the field, he's like, oh, that's going to hurt, man. He's one of their glue guys. If you look at this offensive line, it's just freshman, sophomore, freshman. It's like there's no experience on there. It's just really going to hurt them. And it's like, well, here trots on 27-year-old Bavion Johnson, who's going to line up, 5 feet away from 28-year-old Dylan Gibbons. Like, come on, Dan. Right. I like you too, Dan. I know you got a lot of NFL on your plate. But mix in a couple things here. But no, the offensive line played great. And listen, there's some things that Trayshawn Ward does and Jayshawn Corbin does that bails out the offensive line. To your point, the third down run that Trayshawn had to ice and salt the game away. But hey, man, they get some push, and they're opening up some gaps, and they're creating. Well,
that's kind of my point.
Holes. Yeah,
and that's been my point. I was dumb enough to get in a couple of threads on the tribal council. Not dumb enough that like you shouldn't do it. Just like defending Jordan Travis against people that are completely dead set against him being a quarterback. And I just there's no, you're not going to win those. It's not. When was the next time somebody goes, you know what, man, that's a good point. You're right. Will be the first time that happens on a message board. So right. It's really just kind of shouting into the wilderness. But you must. I mean, we know the offensive line isn't great, and we know the receivers aren't great. And I mean great, like it's not one of the best in the country. So how good must Jordan Travis be to score 35 points with this offensive line? And to put up 400 yards and 240 yards rushing with this offensive line. Like, is he just miracling it? Yeah, well, yeah. One of the posters was like, imagine what this offense could do with a solid quarterback. And I'm like, what? What is solid? Like, what is solid? What would they average? 50 a game? They average 36 with him. What would they average with a solid quarterback? 50, 60? Do we really think they're surrounded? Like, Jordan Travis is keeping them from being a 50-point offense? Or, the way I look at it, Jordan Travis is keeping them from being a 16-point offense. That's the difference. When anybody else plays quarterback, they average 16 to 17 points a game. Literally, those are the stats. When he plays quarterback, they average 35. Now 36. That's the Jordan Travis impact. So he's good. But also, this offensive line isn't a disaster.
Not at all.
Otherwise, so that's the thing, and Jeff Cameron says that a lot when we're on the show. Like, look, they can't block anybody. They're just not good enough up front. You can only do so much. It's like, well, okay, well then Jordan Travis must be the best football player on earth.
Just a warlock, right? Yeah.
Just unbelievable to unlock something where they go from not being able to block. They can't block anyone, but they still manage to put up 33, 36, 38 points when he plays quarterback. And even against Wake, wasn't great. He had 2 touchdowns on the board. The other guy didn't put any on the board. And he only played less than a half, and he scored 2 touchdowns. There is just a way where they put points on the board. The problem is there are not this game, but other games there have been, 3 and out, in the defense has to go right back on the field.
And that's the thing. I want to
look. That's offense, right?
It is, but I guess maybe it is. I just wonder why because when he looks good, man, when he has the first half he has against North Carolina last year, when he plays the 3 quarters he played against North Carolina past Saturday, it's like, how come I'm a dummy? How come I don't embrace this? But then I remember some of these other games. I'm like, I don't think it doesn't make. Once you play a good team, it's not going to keep being there for you. But there aren't that many good teams in this conference.
Yeah.
Who is he going again? Like Clemson and Miami. I think Boston College is going to be tricky too. But unless you have a really nasty front four, and you're going to punish them when they do this read option stuff, and I don't know. I don't even know how you can dare him to beat you throwing the ball. You just totally commit 8 in the box all the time and just cover 3. You just drop 3 guys in coverage the whole time, and you hope. The receivers aren't amazing. They're not going to totally blaze by your guys, but it would seem like you have an easy way to stop this guy. You're at halftime in North Carolina. So, all right, man, stop this guy from running the ball. Well, easier said than done.
Well, and he also hits you over the top. They did a good job. That pass to Pokey, the long one for the touchdown. That's a great design.
Yeah, not the Jordan Jumpman celebration. The other one, the second one.
Yeah, correct. That's good stuff, man. No, that was the one. I think that was the Jordan Jumpman was the first one he had. The long one, the 60-yarder. He's a bear to prepare for. He just is. Florida State has not had a guy at quarterback that had to be like, guys, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You've got to pay attention to this dude. He can win a game. He can take over a game. They haven't had one of those really since Jameis. That has that much of an impact on the offense. Look, and they're tougher defenses. But my point with anybody that thinks that I'm overblowing the kid or give him it's like, it hasn't mattered who this offense has played the last 4 years, whether it's a good defense or a bad defense. They hadn't done anything. The only kid really since DeAndre in 2016 that has actually played well at quarterback and been a difference maker at quarterback has been Jordan Travis. And I'll say this, if Willie would have figured that out at the beginning of 2018 or 2019, Willie Taggart would still be the head coach at Florida State. He didn't figure it out. He still kept running James Blackman out there after running Francois out there when you had this dude. But Hornibrook too. Like you'd rather play Hornibrook against Miami with what turned out to be your job on the line. Left-handed, throwing it 31 yards, can't make anybody miss, got sacked 9 times. You'd rather play that guy than Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis could at least made some plays with his legs and would make some plays with his legs. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just think, man, when he's healthy, it changes everything. When was the last time Florida State had an offense where you thought, man, I think they're going to move down the field and score here? And I felt that every time they had the ball Saturday.
Yeah.
But, and that's not a coincidence. I thought the coaches coached well, but I think that guy just calms everything down because he can. If it is a bad play, he can still get you 6 yards. And if you're in 2nd and 4, 3rd and 4, he can get you first downs. And that's been so hard to come by here these last few years, being able to be good on third down. So yeah, man, I was fired up for him. Fired up for Mike Norvell. Fired up for us. Fired up for you guys. Fired up that my kid got to meet Devin Travis.
There we go.
Just a good time all around, man. It was a good time, good trip. I was as stunned as most of you that they played that well.
Where you're betting is just as important as who you're betting on. That's why I always tell people, you folks on this show, put your money down at MyBookie. Thankfully, MyBookie's lock of the season has returned for the Vegas and Seattle NHL opening night. That's right, everybody. NHL's back. Get involved. Either team scores in this game, you win. It's another one of those, Corey. It's the lock of the season. Any team scores, the lamp lights red. You get bread, everybody. So, yeah, even if it's a scoreless tie and they go to a shootout, somebody's going to have to score eventually. They're not going to stop at 0-0. Take the easy win. Pat yourself on the back. Use your winnings towards NFL picks for Week 6, which includes a battle between two potential Super Bowl contenders when the Cardinals meet Corey's girlfriend's Browns. Don't miss out on winning season. Head to MyBookie. Use the promo code WARCHANT. You'll get double your first deposit. Promo code WARCHANT. Double your funds. Double your winnings. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. I don't even remember how I did on picks last week, but not good. Corey,
Tough loss for the Browns. Lost to the Chargers 47-42.
Oh, no. They lost that one? They were cruising.
Yeah, tough to score 42 points in an NFL game and lose. And our man Derwin James had 17 tackles. I think he had 14 in the first half. And I was listening to the Chargers broadcast because I was driving back home from somewhere. And he was the first player in 15 years in the NFL, some crazy stat, to have 14 tackles in the first half. Not a first Charger, first anyone. Guys, freak. He's a freak show. He is a freak show. So I was thinking about that. So they haven't had a play. The Jalen Ramseys, the Derwin James, the Dalvin Cooks. Those are like just 1 in a million, unbelievable athletes that can win. They're wars. They're 2-3 wins a season. They can give you maybe, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They're just special dudes. Imagine the guy that we think Travis Hunter is. The guy he's proven to be in high school, but it's high school, I get it. But imagine the guy we think he is out there on Saturday against North Carolina. To throw him into the mix a little. You already got Corbin and Ward and Jordan Travis. Now throw in a guy that's really, really hard to tackle out wide too. That's faster than everyone covering him. You start to feel a little. You're like, okay, all right. There is a chance this could be a very good offense. I know some people are like, well, let's see what A.J. Duffy has. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's the future at quarterback. Okay, but would A.J. Duffy have put up 35 points on the road against Carolina? I just don't. I might be wrong. I might be completely naive. I just don't see him as a true freshman competing for this job. But if Jordan Travis can hang on to it and be the guy to go along with Ward Corbin and somebody like Travis Hunter and maybe Malik McClain, all of a sudden you start to feel you get a little goosebumps, man. You're like, wow, that's actually playmakers. They have legitimate playmakers on the Florida State offense. That's fun to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, man. 8-9 wins. It's New Year's Bowl. Maybe not New Year's 6, but New Year's Day bowls. Like you're back in it. You're back in the.
What do you think if you could, now that you've seen Jordan Travis play like this?
Oh gosh, more of this. All right, keep going.
No. I just want to say if you could guarantee that he would have been healthy this whole season, like he would have stayed healthy and play every game, all 12, 6-6 maybe, with him
playing like this.
Yeah, like the last 2 weeks. So, Syracuse, he wasn't incredible. He wasn't great. He made the plays when he had to at the end and put points on the board.
Yeah,
he wasn't unbelievable like he was against Carolina.
It's like
so just those two guys, that guy.
I don't know, man. That's what makes us, let's just all enjoy this victory.
Yeah, I know. You don't want to project.
Well, that's what we do on the show, but it's like your book report on him was so convincing, obviously. And we see, the way he played against North Carolina, if that's the guy, if he can do that, but in my heart of hearts, I'm like, he's not going to be able to do that. If you set the over under at I don't know, 1, I would take the push of him being able to have another game like that this season. I don't think he'll do that against Miami. I don't think he'll do that against Clemson.
Right.
I don't think he'll do that against Florida. But what he could though, he certainly he's capable of it. Again, I don't know. This is why I don't like talking about it, because it sounds like I'm picking on him or have some sort of like personal vendetta against him. I do not. But like that run he had, I don't even know how long the touchdown run he had was.
Ooh-wee. 53
I just don't,
yards maybe?
Does he do that against Auburn? Like, would he be able to do that against Auburn? But you're not playing Auburn. That's why I kind of try to check myself. I'm like, dude, you're not playing Alabama. Don't measure yourself up against Ohio State. You're not playing those teams. You're playing NC State.
I also think he runs in a way, yes, I think he could do it against Auburn, but I think he runs in a way where it doesn't look like he's going as fast as he's going. Because, again, even on that run, it kind of looks like he's just gliding, but ain't nobody making up ground on him. And, I think that no, he wouldn't do that against Georgia. There's a little too much team speed for that. But, most everybody else, I'd feel comfortable that he can run on them. Like, the kid at Ole Miss ran on Alabama too, right? Well, maybe not. Nobody ran on Alabama in that game. But I think Jordan Travis is a unique athlete. I don't think he's unique for the ACC. I think he is a good athlete. I think, again, Notre Dame last year had a very good defense. Top 10 defense in the country. Like, really good. Like, genuinely a good defense. Not just good for Notre Dame. They had a lot of players, and they were good. And he ran for 100 yards against them. He's just tough, man. He's a tough guy to deal with. They don't out one-on-one with that guy. He usually makes you miss. But my point being, if Jordan Travis was going to quarterback this team from game 1 to game 12, I think you're looking at a 6 or 7 win team. I just do. Now, that's not where Florida State wants to be in 3 years. But I think that's the difference he makes right now. Is he probably, you beat Jacksonville State for sure. Maybe you beat Louisville. If he's healthy, if he's that Jordan Travis, maybe you beat Louisville.
Do you beat Notre Dame if he doesn't go out? Even that bad stat, maybe picks that up and does Louisville stuff.
Because I think he did maybe that's. But Milton did well with that too, right? I think Milton played though. Like Milton had 2 drives, they got a touchdown and a field goal, so it's hard to say. Maybe he scores on a scamper in overtime instead of. They just knew that Milton wasn't going to run the ball in overtime. Travis back there, maybe something different's happened. No, I'm not going to say that. I'll say they still lose to Notre Dame. They still lose to Wake. But I just feel like that he probably wins those other games. My point being that I do think if he's healthy, if he plays the whole game, he's good enough to beat 2 or 3 of these other teams. That's cool to think about. It's also, I don't know what happened. Like, we know he wasn't practicing a ton. I thought the way it sounded is like, man, is he going to play until November? And then all of a sudden he's starting and playing and putting up 33 against Syracuse. And now he had the best game of Florida State quarterback has had in who knows how long on Saturday. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what flipped. I don't know what got switched. But if he's now this guy, man, that's cool. That's cool for all of us. That's good for everyone if he's that guy. And you start to feel okay about this program all of a sudden. You got a guy at quarterback. You might just have a guy at quarterback, everyone.
Almost feel as good about it as Texas A&M fans feel about their program after the architect of the greatest team in Florida State history, John James Fisher II, led Texas A&M to a victory over Alabama. That's crazy. Number 1 team in the nation.
I was listening to that with Stephanie. We were driving home, and she's like, "Who are you rooting for?" I think I'm rooting for A&M. I'm sick of Alabama, and that's really cool for a program like that to get a win like that. It's just, and it's good for the sport. I'm just sick of Alabama. I'm just sick of them. And so it was cool for a team to like bow up. And look, man, I thought when Alabama took the lead, I'm like, well, that's a wrap.
Right.
A&M, Alabama might cover. But yeah, credit to that kid, man. He played really well. And now Jimbo's going to have a quarterback controversy on his hands at some point in the future. By the way, LSU getting housed again. And Jimbo doing what he did on Saturday night, one way or the other, made a lot of money for Jimbo Fisher. If it's to re-up with A&M, I know he just got a new contract extension, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, he can ask for whatever he wants at A&M if he finishes this thing out with 2 losses, which is a big if. I mean, they're still the same team that lost to Mississippi State.
Absolutely.
But that's a big-time win. I didn't get to watch the game. I just listened to it. But it sounded like they hounded that quarterback all night.
They did. It was crazy. That Elko dude is. I mean, it was like zone blitz. Like they put 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and then they just rotated which 4 guys were going to rush. Like they sometimes would rush 3 guys, 2 guys would drop back. Like it was Dick LeBeau-esque. It was like amoeba defense. That would have been cool if Charles Kelly knew how to do that stuff here when he had Josh
Right.
Sweat and he had Derwin James and he had Matthew
people like
Thomas
that.
and he had Derek Nottie and that would have been cool, Charles.
That'd have been neat. It's funny too. I was listening to A&M broadcast, and the guy, the announcer, you know how Deckeroff is. He's excitable no matter who scores. Like his voice is
Touchdown, Jacksonville State! Who got the game?
the same. So they have there's that, and then there's this guy like 3rd and 12. A&M, let me hear you, 12th man. Let me hear you, 12th man. Young drops back to pass, touchdown, end zone touchdown, Alabama. Nobody even there. Like it's just so excited. Like he drops back, looking, touchdown. Like he almost doesn't even say it. And then did you hear the Alabama call?
No.
Like the guy, one of the
Eli
guys I
Gold.
follow on Twitter. He didn't even announce that the kick was good.
Really? There's a
He
kick
just
up?
let the
Texas
and
A&M,
it was just
38.
and then the next thing he said, not it's good, not Bama loses. It's just the crowd going crazy. You hear that, I'm sure. That I guess he was letting the crowd tell the story, which was fine. But he goes, looks like A&M's going to have to pay a healthy fine. Like that's all that he was talking about, the fine, like that A&M had to pay a fine. Like
For rushing the
I think
field,
he said $250,000. That can't be right.
No,
is it really?
Yeah, SEC fines you $250 if you rush the field. Yeah.
Holy moly! And that, by the way, I know you're a big Jimbo Fisher fan. I love that 2013 season. My favorite year of working as a journalist. That is a weird school, dude. Have you ever seen what they do for the yell practices?
Oh yes, yeah, I know. That's why. Yeah,
But it's not just like dudes leading cheers. It's like they do these things with their shoulders and they hit their knees. Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
It's unbelievably awkward. It's just bizarre. And Stephanie went there, and I was just making fun of that place the whole trip back. And she's like, "Yeah, it's a little different." I'm like, "It's crazy. It's nuts. It's just a weird place." But hey, man, that's cool that they got a win. For real. That was I think it's good for the sport.
It is. What a year. It really is. I know it's not great for us, but if you love this sport, everything's just chaos, man. BYU went down. Iowa took down Penn State. It's Michigan's 6-0 right now, cruising. The
emails from the Nebraska fans have dried up. That's weird. As they fall to 3-4.
Do you see what they did? It was 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
They were over half. They were going to. Yep. They converted 3rd and 1. Just go down, and he fumbled, and then Michigan.
Yeah, it's the Martinez kid, man. Some guys are snake bitten. I'm not going to say he's like a loser because he's not. He's good enough to be a quarterback at a high major college football program. But there are some things that just happen to players like that. That just it's not. It didn't surprise you, did it?
No.
That happened to him. But you look around the sport, and it's just I will keep saying this that. You look at these college football games, and they're so much getting closer and closer to what NFL games are, where it literally comes down to the last 5 minutes of every game. Mm-hmm. You know how the NFL. I mean, the spreads are still big, but like in college, but like all the NFL spreads are like 7 points, 8 points, 4 points, because they know it comes down to the final 5 minutes all the time. There'll be different examples like the Cowboys and the Giants, but normally these games come down to a few plays here and there in the fourth quarter. And that's how it is in college football through so many of these teams. Like, think about A&M. Like, A&M was, 2 plays away from beating Mississippi State, and now you're like, okay, they're 5-1, or whatever they'd be. They're also 1 play away from losing to Colorado.
Yep.
And you look at Florida State. Florida State is 2-4, about to be 3-4. They're also lost two games on the last play of the game. So I guess you could say they're pretty close to being 5-2. Like, it's just that's how close the margins have gotten so small in this sport for everybody in the middle. Like Alabama and Georgia, they can play their C- games typically and beat most teams. B- probably, and beat most teams. But all these other teams, man, you have to play moments well, whether it's Wake and Syracuse, Louisville and Virginia, Florida State and North Carolina, NC State and whoever, Virginia and Miami. Like, they all come down to these few plays, these finite amount of plays.
Well, North Carolina, Florida State didn't come down to finite amount. They were cruising, man. Florida State rolled them. But to your point,
I meant last year. Honestly,
Okay,
I don't know why I paired that in this, but last year it came down to that. But NC State, their
NC
game
State,
against
Clemson
Louisiana
went
Tech.
to overtime. Yeah, man.
Yes,
it's a beautiful
Clemson,
time.
Georgia Tech, Duke. Like, it's just every game comes down to the final 4 or 5 minutes, and that's why the Syracuse game might end up being a really big deal for this program. But yeah, they aren't that far away from the middle of the pack. Record or not, they are not that far away from the middle of the pack. They might be a middle of the pack team. They just started off with a 4-game losing streak. But I'm telling you, this last 2.5 games, they've been a good team. They've been a good team. Like, Syracuse isn't easy to beat. How many yards did that big kid rush for against Wake? I wonder. I didn't even look that up.
Yeah, like
I
over
wonder if
150, I think.
Did he again?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what he does, man. That's what he does. It'll be nice to play a team that doesn't have I don't know, UMass might. Who knows what wizard Walt Bell's bringing with UMass. They got their dub, by the way.
They did.
All right, Walt Bell.
And you folks got your Monday show. Jeff Cameron coming up at 1 o'clock, and then Trench Talk dropping at 7:15. So tune in for both those. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.